plank. So making sure you've got a nice straight line all the way from the top of the head right down to your heels. Keeping the core pulled in nice and strong, and we're going to hold here for 30 seconds. Keep the breaths flowing nice and smoothly. And we're going to move into 20 shoulder taps, so 10 on each side. So you're lifting one hand up, tapping the opposite shoulder, and then replacing and doing the same on the other side. Trying to keep the body nice and strong, keeping that core pulled in. And taking a rest. Back in downward facing dog, so taking the hips all the way back up to the ceiling. You can gently bend and stretch the legs just to wake the hamstrings up. And then moving down into our child's pose. So taking the hips back to the heels, having the arms stretched out. So coming up onto your fingertips with the hands, we're going to gently walk the fingertips over to the right, just until we feel a nice stretch down the left-hand side of the body, and walking the fingertips back to the centre, and then taking the hands over to the other side, so walking those fingertips over to the other side, and then coming back to centre, and coming back up onto all fours. We'll move into 10 donkey kicks on each leg, so taking one leg up each time and kicking up and back, again keeping your core nice and strong, trying to keep the upper body nice and stable as the legs move around. And then we'll tuck the toes and lift back into our plank to hold for another 30 seconds. So once again, a nice straight line between the top of the head all the way down to the heels, and keeping the core tucked in nice and strong. Keep the breath flowing nice and smoothly. And then maintaining our nice strong plank hold, we're going to do 20 leg lifts, so 10 on each side. So taking one leg at a time, up and back, but keeping the upper body nice and still, nice and strong. When you've done your 10 on each leg, gently come back to all fours. We're going to move into our bird pose, so you're then going to raise one arm and the opposite leg, really reaching out through the fingertips and the toes, and then seeing if you can connect that hand and that foot and give yourself a nice good stretch. And extending back out, really reaching through the fingertips and the toes before gently replacing the hand and knee back down to the floor. We'll move on to the other side. So taking the other arm and opposite leg, really reaching out and then bending that knee, seeing if you can connect the hand with the foot and have a bit of a stretch before releasing, extending out through the fingertips and the toes before coming back down onto all fours. We're then going to tuck the toes and lift back up into downward dog, having a nice bit of a stretch and a rest, and then you can gently take your dog for a walk and walk the feet all the way back up towards the hands, resting in your forward fold for a moment before engaging in the core and slowly rolling all the way back up. Once you're back up standing, we're going to move into our tree pose. So we'll start by taking the weight into the left leg, really grounding the foot, pulling up in the muscles in that left leg. Then we'll start to grow our tree. So taking the right leg out to the side And then resting the sole of the foot of that right foot anywhere on the left leg that you can manage. Any level is fine. Bringing the hands together at heart centre, really squeezing in with the belly, reaching up through the crown of the head. If you want to test yourself a bit more, you can raise the hands all the way up. You can widen the hands. And then gently bring them back to centre. Lower the hands in prayer position back down to the chest. And then nice and slow and controlled, gently releasing that leg and bringing the right foot back down to the floor. Give yourselves a wiggle and a shake if you need one. And then we'll move on to the other side. So taking the weight onto the right leg this time, really squeezing all the muscles up in that right leg. And then we'll start growing our tree. So bringing the sole of the left foot just anywhere on the right leg that it feels comfortable. Just try and avoid the knee. Then when you feel nice and balanced, you can bring the hands together at heart centre. And if you want to test yourself, you can raise the hands all the way up overhead. You can take the hands out wide, squeezing in with the belly, reaching up through the crown of the head. Bring the hands back together, and then bring the hands back down to the chest. And nice and slow and controlled, just releasing that left foot back down to the floor. Then we're going to take a seat and move into our boat pose. So sitting on your bottom with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Or inhale, reach up through the crown of the head. Gently take the weight backwards so the feet come up off the floor, and then see if you can release the hands. If you want a bit more of a workout, you can raise the feet a little bit, and then we'll move into our Russian twists. So going from one side to the other, keeping the core nice and strong, chest really lifted up towards the ceiling. You want a nice straight back. Just keep breathing. You can smile as well if you want to. And then when we've done all of our Russian twists, we're going to move into our boat sit-ups. So staying in a nice strong boat pose, we're going to take the upper body and the legs just out as straight and as low as we possibly can, and then bringing them back up together. So keeping the core nice and strong, keeping that chest shining up towards the ceiling. And when you've done your 10, gently lower the feet. Take a rest back, just lie back on the mat and take the arms up overhead, taking some nice deep breaths and a rest. Well done.